All right. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Strigler from Strigler Photography. Let me see if I can make it pop up where it actually says all that. Oh, there it is. Now you can see how you spell my last name again because it's so much different than right here. Hey guys, we are back again for our second session of the night at the Dream Wedding Summit. Hopefully, you guys got to see our last session with Brock from DJ Brock Entertainment. He is quite the character and quite the entertainer, but that makes sense because he is an entertainer. Um, if you did not see it, it will be on replay for the next 24 hours, so you can always go back and watch. This will also be on replay for 24 hours if you missed it. Okay, so real quickly, guys, again, if you don't know what this whole summit is about, it is all about helping you guys create the best wedding possible. Unfortunately, we hear stories all the time of brides that had a bad experience, and it may not be their entire wedding. It may be just one thing that screwed up, but that one thing has really kind of left a bad taste in their mouth as far as their whole wedding experience. And we find that a lot of the problems come with a lack of education. People just don't know what it is they're supposed to be looking for or what they're supposed to be doing when they're planning their wedding. And so that's why we're here. We're trying to give you the best information about as many areas of wedding planning as possible, so you can have that wonderful wedding experience. And that's really all this is about. We just want to help you. So for our second session of the night, we have a lovely young lady that someone I actually know pretty well. Her name is Angela Clark, and I like to claim, and they sometimes claim, that I am their family's photographer. And why they may say that is because I've actually shot several weddings in their family. I think I'm up to 3 weddings now for their family, and they are a wonderful family. Her father actually went to school with my father, and Angela and I taught together. And so we have a really great connection. I'm so excited that she's going to be here sharing some information. But besides that, she is a wonderful wedding planner coordinator. She is very organized, very on top of things. She is here to take away a lot of the stress, because planning a wedding is very stressful, and she will do as much as you want her to. If you want her to take over and do basically all the work, she will do that for you. If you just want someone to guide you on the wedding day and make sure everything is set up perfectly, she'll do that as well. So if you are struggling at all with this whole planning thing, I would suggest you look into Angela, and look into a coordinator, because they can make your life, basically, you don't have to do anything. She'll take care of as much of it as you want. Um, all right. So, with all that being said, Angela's going to kind of run you through, I think, the whole process of planning a wedding. So, get your pencils out, get ready to take some notes. She's going to hit you up with some knowledge, and it's going to be a great experience. So, I am going to Let me see if I can get this set back up. All right. I'm going to unmute Angela. All right, and I'm going
Hi.
to have it turned over to her. All right, Angela, I am going to shut up now, and I'm going to let you tell them all the cool things about yourself.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Brian. Well, Brian was not lying. We have used Brian for all of our photography needs for about the last 3 years, ever since I married Zach in June of 2014, and we love using Strigler photography. So we'll definitely continue that tradition, and we hope Brian doesn't mind our goofiness too much. I am a wedding planner, wedding coordinator. I mostly consider myself a coordinator rather than the full on planner, because the majority of the brides that I meet want to plan their own wedding with their own vision, their own vendors, and all those things. Now, I help guide them through that process, but I don't actually do that for them. But I can. That is another option. Um, I pride myself in being a coordinator and really taking care of everything from the moment of the rehearsal all the way through to the finish line of the wedding day, and some of the follow up as well. So um, I've been doing this since September of 2014. I think I'm about to approach my 12th wedding, and while that might seem like a low number to some people, I'm also a full-time teacher, and that's actually how I met Brian. originally. I think we met 8 years ago at Woodland Junior High in Fayetteville, and I'm still teaching. Brian got out and now is a full-time photographer, but I do planning and coordinating on the side. So, and it's very fun. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't add the extra workload if I didn't love it. And I really do enjoy wedding coordinating. So that's kind of, and then I also have a 2-year-old, and then I actually have another little girl on the way. So we're due in January, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to kind of walk you through my kind of my process that I go through in my mind when I'm helping my brides. So if you're just getting started, this would be great for you. If you feel like you're maybe a third of the way into the process and you just kind of want to do a checklist, make sure, oh, I didn't forget that, I didn't forget this, then this is a great webinar to listen to and pay attention to. And if we end up talking, if you want to contact me and talk about coordinating, I can share this presentation with you if you would like to use it for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my slide presentation. Let's see. Okay. I think we're sharing. Are we sharing? I can't tell. Let's see if I can get this to work. There we go. Okay, I think we're sharing now. So how to plan your wedding day from start to finish. And don't worry, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. And even though it does not seem simple, and I know that you know, I've never met a bride that, even brides that have had so much help and so many people helping them, including their family, friends, a coordinator, the caterer, everybody's been on board. Nobody ever walks away from a wedding day going, wow, that was so stress-free and easy. But everyone that I've worked with has walked away saying, wow, that was the best day of my life. And so that's kind of the goal. That's what we want. We want your wedding to be the best day of your life. And so what Angela Clark Events does, and what I do, we provide the opportunity for you to actually truly enjoy the moment and live in that moment, and not worry about all of the organizational side of everything. So first things first, pre-planning. This is when, you know, you've got the ring, you've done the big proposal, and you're excited to get things going. I know how it feels. You just kind of want to go boom, 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 and then you get married. But there's actually a lot to it. So pre-planning, I made this little step-by-step guide. First thing you need to decide is, what do you want out of your wedding? What do you want people to feel when they're at your wedding? What do you want the vibe to be? So your vision. And I really encourage people to write it down. Now, whether that's typing it on a tablet or actually writing it on notebook paper, totally up to you. But it's good to kind of put that out in the universe and to have an idea. You know, do you want the English garden spring wedding with tons of florals, or are you looking more for like a winter wedding with fur and extra, you know, just whatever you have always pictured growing up that you want your wedding to look like? What is that? Because when you're explaining that element to people, it's a huge part of the process, and it's what makes your wedding unique to you. So definitely, what is your vision? Write it down. Second thing, decide on a month or a season and start calling venues. For those of you that are having a year-long engagement or longer, you guys are pretty safe most of the time. You're safe when you have a date in mind or you have a month in mind if you give it a year. If you are more on the fast track and you have less than a year, I mean, the sooner the better when it comes to venues. You know, we have those hot months, and I don't mean temperature, I mean like spring months, the hot wedding months, end of May, all of June, all of July, most of August. And then it just starts fall, and everybody loves to get married in the fall too. So those are kind of, you know, the spring through the summer and the fall, those are going to be your busiest months and your busiest wedding weekends. So start calling venues and see what's available. Okay, next step. make a rough draft of your guest list. We've got to know how many people are coming to your wedding. And people always want to ask me, well, what's the percentage of people that come to the wedding versus how many people you invite? I have seen everything. I've seen people that invite 300 people and 253 show up. I've seen brides and grooms invite 150 people and 70 show up. So it really depends on the location, how long you've been at that location, and how dedicated your family and friends, how available they are too to get to your wedding. So just make a list of all of your loved ones, all of your friends that you want the wedding, count it up, because this is going to make all the difference when we're talking about the budget. And that is kind of a stressful point for a lot of people, but it's part of planning and you have to know the numbers. So if you're discussing the budget with just your fiance, or you're discussing the budget with family members, you have to have that discussion first before you get too far in the planning process. And then last but not least, choose your team wisely. And by team, I mean, who is your number one go-to friend who's going to be by your side the whole way? At this point, you want to start thinking about coordinators, because coordinators our whole job is to be on your team and to back you up and to execute your vision the way you want it, and to keep you on task, keep you on budget, and all of those things. So your friends and your family are going to be your team, and you need to make sure they are 100% supportive of your vision and what you want of your big day, because it is your day, and you need people around you that want it to be just as special as you want it to be. Next step, I thought this was kind of funny, but it's true. It's committing. Now you've already gotten the ring and you've already committed to spending your life with someone, but now you have to commit to your vendors. And I'm talking about your top 5 big vendors. You've got your venue, which most of the time is your most expensive line item. Then you've got your photographer, your caterer, your florist, and your music. I always tell my brides that of all of these things, I think the photographer is the most important, because when you walk away from the wedding day, you have 2 things. You have a lifetime commitment to the person that you love. You have your marriage, and then you have your memories. And your memories come from your photographer. So you have to choose someone you trust, someone who can really deliver what you want in your photography, what style you like. Most important vendor, get the one you want. Spend the money you need to. Make sure that you are basically paying a photographer is like putting insurance on your memories, because those are the pictures are what you're going to take away. Besides your marriage and your lifelong commitment, your pictures are what you're going to take away. Your caterer. I love working with caterers because they're flexible. You can call a caterer and tell them a week before the wedding, hey, instead of 150 people, it's actually going to be 175 people. Can you make that happen? All the caterers that I've worked with, sure, absolutely, no problem. That's why caterers are awesome. So pick one that will make your wedding food memorable. I still, to this day, get compliments on the macaroni and cheese that was cooked right in front of them at my wedding from Briar Rose in Farmington. Delicious, delicious. And, I just have such fond memories from my wedding, because a lot of the reason is because the food was so delicious. So caterer is important. A florist. This is more of a personal choice, whether you're going to go all fresh flowers or you're going to go silk flowers. Either way, you've got to decide what kind of florals you're going to use in your wedding. I've worked with several brides whose parents have friends who own a florist, or own a flower shop, or I've also worked with brides that their mom has done their florals for them. Any way you go, just make sure that you take some time to pick out the colors and the type of flowers that you want. There are some easy ways to cut down on floral costs, and if I get a chance to speak with you guys individually, I can totally give you my backdoor tips on how to cut down on floral costs a little bit at least. It is a big expense though. If you go heavy florals like I did at my wedding, it does cost quite a bit to do a lot of florals with fresh flowers, but it's worth it because it makes everything smell better and look better, and that's what we want. So, and then music, you got to have your entertainment. I know Brock went before me. It was hard for me to follow him up, but music is so important, whether you decide to do a DJ or a live band, or you know, any other kind of music. So make sure you don't forget about the ceremony. A lot of people focus on the reception and they're like, oh no, we didn't talk to our DJ about doing the music for the ceremony. Well, most DJs, everyone that I've met, can do both. And that seems to be the easiest because it's much more fluid and they can just basically be in two places at one time. So that's the top 5 vendors that you've got and you have to give them their deposits so that they can mark their calendars too. Everybody's got to commit together. It takes a lot of teamwork to plan these days. So, okay, this is just a fun little thing. I wanted to take a break from the planning talk, and since we were just talking about budget and putting down deposits, I wanted you guys to kind of give it just a minute in your brains and think about how much do you think the average wedding in Arkansas cost in 2017? Okay, got your number? All right. The actual number, according to the 2017 report by Value Penguin, is $18,596. I was thinking when I was making my own guess, I was thinking more in the $22,000 to $25,000 range. And then I realized that I'm thinking about Northwest Arkansas by itself. This is the entire state of Arkansas, so I can see how it would be a little lower throughout the state. But yeah, it's kind of a shocking number. I wanted to just take a split second and show you this really cool website called Value Penguin in this article, the average cost of a wedding. It goes through, it shows you every state. I thought that was really neat. And then if you go down a little further, it'll kind of compare you. Obviously in New York, the average wedding costs $88,000, which is like, oh, crazy. Most expensive components of your wedding, they included engagement ring, and I left that out because in my mind, if you're talking to me, then that means you've already got an engagement ring on your finger. So I don't include that in part of the budget. So it's the one difference I saw there. And then the least expensive, I liked this chart because it kind of shows you, shockingly enough, I think people always go, the wedding cake's so cheap. And it's true. Your wedding cake will be one of the cheapest things that you spend money on. Oh, and this also reminds me of what I was going to tell you guys about invitations, but I'll just go back to what I was doing. And there we go. Okay. So $18,596 average cost of a wedding in Arkansas. And so I think we should all take a deep breath after seeing that big number. And remember that although that is a really it seems like a big number to me. You could buy a car with it. But you have to remember that this is going to be the most memorable and magical day of your life. When I was in the process of planning my own wedding, I would start to feel overwhelmed about the dollar signs and felt like it was never going to end. And the truth of it all is, well, really 2 things. That the budget and spending that much money is a part of it. You're serving however many guests you had. I had 120 at my wedding. So I was serving 120 people, good food and great entertainment and dessert. And there was decorations and pretty dresses and suits and everything and photography. And so there's just so many elements to it that I think people forget what you're really trying to do. And that's, you are creating a magical event that you want people to remember. And then the other thing is that the other thing that I think you should remember when you're spending that kind of money is that it is worth it. When you walk away from that day and the day is over and you're taking home the love of your life for the rest of your life, you will feel a sense of relief for sure that the wedding's over, but you'll also feel a sense of celebration. It was such a beautiful celebration, and it was expensive, but it was worth every penny. So I think that's really important to remember. So deep breaths, lots of that. You have to do that when you're planning a wedding anyway. Okay, step 3. This is my favorite part of the presentation. Here are a few things that I help my brides find and figure out, because usually I'm on board I'm contracted on board by the time we get to this part of the planning process, the step 3. The wedding dress. You know, it was funny. I made this presentation and I was practicing with my friend Christy, and she was like, "You forgot the wedding dress." And I thought, yeah, but the bride will never forget the wedding dress. So I guess that's probably why I didn't include it originally. But it is important. It's a really fun process to pick out a wedding dress, and hopefully you're not like me and you don't have to go to 5 places and to find the wedding dress of your dreams. Hopefully you can get it on the first try. But either way, you'll end up looking beautiful, and that's kind of that's the moment that every bride wants. You want to look in the mirror and say, wow, look at me. Look how pretty I look on this day. So then some other things that are really important that you've got to take care of. You have to solidify your plans with your officiant. Talk to that person, whether it is a friend, whether it is a church pastor that you've known since you were little, or whether it's someone that you found online. You need to have an in-depth conversation with that person to decide on your ceremony style and whether or not you're going to write your own vows. And have that conversation is a very important element for obvious reasons. Save the dates and invitations. Okay, paper. I love talking about paper, and I'm kind of dorky about it. I'm going to take a little break from this and just talk to you people so you can see my face again, so you remember what I look like. Let's see. Can you see me now? I think so. I think you guys can see me now. So the stationery and the paper, I want everyone to listen to me. There is a sale going on right now on weddingpaperdivas.com. They are switching gears, and they are going to change venues and sell something else, not paper. I don't know why, because they're the best, in my opinion. They offer the best wedding invitations out there. But right now they're having a 40% off sale. So if you're listening to this right now and you're listening to me talk, I'm serious. You need to go to weddingpaperdivas.com and you need to order your wedding invitation suite. And when I say suite, I mean like you can get the thank you notes with it. You can get RSVP cards with it, with the envelopes. You can get place settings. You can get everything for 40% off. That's unheard of. And they're beautiful. They have beautiful wedding suites. So weddingpaperdivas.com. Don't say I never did anything for you. Okay. What else? What to wear? You've got to have that conversation with the groom about what they're going to wear. Are they going to wear suits? Are they going to wear suspenders? Are they going to wear jeans? Are we going to wear flip-flops? What is the vibe, and what do the groomsmen need to look like? You need to make those arrangements as soon as possible. And of course, let the groom be a part of it. Do that part together for sure. Your bridesmaids, I highly recommend using Weddington Way for if you most of the brides I deal with have bridesmaids from all over. They're not just located in one little town. And so what you can do is you can get on Weddington Way and you can create you can create an account and you can create a showcase room. And on this showcase room, you pick the color of your wedding dress. They'll send you free swatches of fabric so you can actually touch. You get like 5 or 10 of them. And this is how I chose my bridesmaids dresses. And you can feel them, you can look at them, you can decide on the fabric, and then you go into Weddington Way, and let's say you have 5 bridesmaids. You make a showcase with 10 styles of dress that you want. This is assuming you don't want all your bridesmaids to wear the same style of dress. If you do, that's fine too. They can do that as well. So you make the showcase. Then you send the link to your bridesmaids, and your bridesmaids do a first come first serve, and they get on there and they basically call dibs on the dress style that they like for themselves. They get a discount if you sell. I think if you do more than maybe 3 dresses, you get like a 15% discount. It's something like that, something close like that. So, but there are lots of other places locally, and then there are also nationally owned chains that you can use, and they all of them have beautiful bridesmaids dresses. So just make sure you get something that you really like, and remember that you need to coordinate your colors between your groomsmen and your bridesmaids. It's really important for the pictures to look nice. Cake and dessert is my favorite part. You go anywhere you want locally to any bakery and you can do a cake testing with your love and with your mama and whoever else you want to bring with you. And it's super fun, and the cake is one of the least expensive things that you'll purchase for your wedding, and so that's probably the most fun you'll have of all the planning steps. What else? Table decor and signage. This is something you need to talk to your team about. You need to talk to your coordinator about, your florist. You need, I always suggest to all my brides that they not use the exact same table decor on every single table. I think it's good to have a little variety. So that's just my personal suggestion. Rentals. I said that caterers are really flexible. So are rental companies. They can make changes, usually if it's not just a huge wild busy weekend in the area, they can make changes for you when it comes to numbers of tablecloths, number of chairs, and number of tables. If you call them a week in advance and say, hey, I need 10 more tables and 100 more chairs, they can usually do that. But you'll definitely want to ask them in advance. If you think there might be just a total change in how many guests you're going to have, I would definitely talk to those people beforehand and make sure that they understand where you're coming from. I'm going to go back to my presentation now. And one other thing that you definitely need to talk to your coordinator about, and also to whoever is managing your venue, you need to talk to your venue manager about a weather plan. So when I got married, it had been raining for about 6 days straight, and it was just like sprinkling for 6 days straight, but it had made the ground so wet that when we went to have our outdoor ceremony, it was just not going to work. So we had to switch and move inside. Luckily, at the venue I chose, it was easy to move inside. People got married inside all the time. I have been at other weddings when it's not so easy, but if you have a plan B, then everybody still gets married and everything's fine. So it's really important. If you're planning on having an outdoor ceremony or an outdoor wedding, you need to have a backup plan, and you need to be ready to move to that backup plan because it does happen. Task list. This is my favorite thing to talk about because I have had several brides use this and create this and modify this in their own way, but I'm going to show you an example of one of my most beloved favorite brides that I ever used, Morgan. Her and her mother worked on this. This is an example of a task list. So as you can see, the tasks are all listed on the left side of the chart. Every single detail. And these right here these are all the things. Oh, can you not see me still? Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me share. Coming back. Boop, boop. Okay, here I am. Sorry about that. So here's a list of all the things that she had for her wedding that she had to take care of, and we had to coordinate and plan. So as you can see, as her coordinator, I did take care of a lot of things. She had her aunt and uncle. She had her aunt and uncle bring all of these things so that we could set them up for her. And then, just everything from delivery of 18 5-pound bags of ice. You'd be surprised at how many people overlook getting the ice and how many people overlook getting plates for the cake or forks for the cake. Those are little tiny details that a coordinator can definitely make sure that you remember. Okay, let's go back here. Let's look at this example timeline real quick. I think you guys probably already understand the concept of a timeline, but this was another one of my wonderful, beautiful brides, and her name was Julia and Nick, and they just got married not too long ago in October. And she made a timeline for the whole weekend. So she went from the rehearsal to the whole day of the wedding. They ended up getting ready a lot earlier than that. Girls need a lot of time to get ready, so just remember we knew that. This is her whole ceremony timeline, and then how she wanted to do the photos, cutting of the cake, first dance. And what I love about DJs, not just working with them because they're really fun to work with, but also they kind of walk you through. Usually if the DJ is your MC, that's normally how it works, but they will walk you through your entire reception. step by step and help you come up with this timeline, or they just kind of feel out the crowd and make sure that they have as many people there to participate in the traditional ceremonies of a wedding reception. So that's good too. Another reason why you should really think through when you choose, your entertainment or your music component for your wedding. And then last but not least, something that always comes in hand for every wedding coordinator, and we really appreciate this, important contacts. So we can call people when they don't show up on time. No, I'm just kidding. We do call people when they don't show up on time, but we're really nice about it. And see, that's something that a wedding coordinator can take care of that you don't have to worry about. You don't even actually get to find out about it if the coordinator is doing their job. Okay, I'm going to throw this in here. I looked at example documents. Now, I'd like to offer anybody that's watching this webinar with me and hanging out with us at Angela Clark Events and Brian Strigler Photography, the Wedding Summit, a free 30-minute phone consultation. This should be valued at about $100. So if you'll just click on the button that Brian's going to put up on the screen, or if you want to just email me, AngelaClarkEvents@gmail.com, we can set up a free phone consultation for you, and we can talk about all things wedding. And it'll be super fun. You have a good time talking about that, and I can help you out. Okay, step 4. I just included this because I remembered some they're not funny stories, but stories of things that have happened at weddings, little tiny things that have gone wrong. It happens at every single wedding, something very small, or can be not so small like at my wedding, but things do happen, but you can't let it bother you. You have to remember what the goal of the day is. And this is what I always tell my brides, is that at the end of today, you will be married. So I had my best friend, Christy, who I was talking about earlier. She had a chocolate fountain disaster at her wedding. Not really disaster, but they got married somewhere where there was no way to warm up the chocolate. And the chocolate fountain was part of the whole dessert presentation. So there was no chocolate fountain. But she didn't care because it was a fun day, and that's what happens. Now, the second little bullet point I have here, I had a bride who wanted to exchange letters before she got married to her fiance, like right before, and she forgot to tell people that that's what she wanted to do. So no one knew, not even me, the coordinator, knew that that's what she wanted to do. And so it got overlooked. She didn't get to exchange the letter with her fiance. So make sure, my goal with that one, to include that one, was make sure that you communicate all of your wants and all of your needs to your coordinator, because although we do read a lot of minds, there are times when things can slip through the cracks if we're not informed. And then last but not least, I was kind of talking about myself on that one. If you get rained out, it's going to be okay as long as you have a plan B. It should be no problem. You can just move to plan B and go ahead and get hitched. Step 5, my favorite step, enjoy your big day. If you have a wedding coordinator or a planner and a really awesome team of family and friends, you are going to, enjoy every minute of it. And you'll look back, you'll wake up in the morning and be like, I can't believe that happened. It was so fabulous. Memories that last a lifetime. And then my final piece of advice to you is finish strong. And I have a couple of tips on that. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to myself now. Okay, so a couple of things that I want you to remember at the end of the day is that task list that I was talking about earlier is really going to come in handy as long as you have all of your loose ends tied up at the end of the night. And by that, I mean, like, where's all the decor going? Is it going into someone's trunk? And if so, whose trunk? This is something that you and your coordinator should have totally mapped out and figured out beforehand. So just make sure that you have those kind of things figured out. You need to make sure that you have a cleanup crew on board. You have some people who are ready to clean. Now, a lot of my brides want to use family members, and I always discourage that. I really think that people who are invited to a wedding should not have to clean up the wedding, but that's just my personal opinion. I have staff members, they're actually my family members, that you can hire. And I think, most larger event companies, like I said, I'm pretty small scale because I just do it on the side, but larger event companies also have cleanup crews. You can hire, you can usually pay most vendors a little extra percentage to pick up their own stuff. So that's really important, cleaning up and packing up, because you want to make sure that you get your deposit back from that vendor. And then a couple other things, transportation. I want to really emphasize the importance of transportation. You need a sober driver, and you need someone that's safe and can take you where you need to go on your wedding night, because it's such a special night and they need to take care of you. Plan that ahead of time. Talk to your coordinator about planning that ahead of time. Thank you notes. You've got, the internet says 2 weeks. I say 2 to 4 weeks. People understand that you are very busy, especially if you're headed out on your honeymoon the next day. Thank you notes take a long time, but they are so worth it. And remember what I said about when you get your stationery, you can get a wedding suite at a discount, and it'll include your thank you notes. And then what else? Oh, finally, just, I don't know, be grateful. Hug your mom, hug your dad, hug everybody that helped you along the way before you leave, before your send off, and make sure that they know how much you appreciate them, because you just did it. You pulled it off. You finished your huge wedding day, and you got married, and you're going to be married forever. So it's really important to let those loved ones know that you appreciate them. So, okay, well, at this point, I think I'm going to go back to Brian, if he's around, if he's not just being lazy eating pizza. Who knows?
I actually finished a while ago.
I'm just teasing you. I was going to see if there were any questions, or if you wanted to talk about anything, Brian, or you thought I forgot anything.
Let me jump where people can hopefully see me. So first thing I'll say is, as a photographer, it's always nice to have a wedding coordinator or wedding planner. First of all, to even have one, because weddings, as she was showing, are very involved, and there's a lot of stuff that people forget, or they, don't do correctly. And so, like, with a wedding coordinator there, we at least have someone, who can take care of that. Now, I will say, if there's not a wedding coordinator, I try and do that on the wedding day, but I'd rather not have to do that as another job, so I'd much rather have someone that's dedicated to that and takes care of it. And there are a lot of things that go on that the bride doesn't want to have to worry about or think about, and it's nice to have someone do that for them. And what else? There's something else that you said.
Well, I was gonna. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, whenever I attend a wedding as a guest, and there's not a coordinator there, I can tell that everyone's stress level is higher than it is whenever I'm working a wedding. It's because basically the coordinator is like an ally to everyone. Like, you can always go to the coordinator and ask the most random weird questions, like, where are the flower petals for the flower girl? And she'll usually know. Whereas if you run to the photographer and he's in the middle of trying to shoot people walking into the wedding, he's not going to know where the flower petals are, but he'll get asked lots of questions if there's not a coordinator. And I don't know. I hate using this word, but it's really not fair to all the other vendors, because they really don't get paid to do that. And so it's just, I think to me, it's one of the most reasonable expenses. If you're going to spend so much money on a beautiful day like your wedding, and you want kind of like insurance for the whole day to go really well, then hire a coordinator, because we can ensure that happens.
All right. So I don't know if this is going to make us jump back and forth. One of the other things I will say, and we mentioned this with photographers, and Brock mentioned this, even with coordinators, there's a difference between someone that knows what they're doing and someone that has a ton of experience and is really good at it. I mean, I've been at weddings before where the coordinator is like a friend, and they're trying their best, and they're doing okay, but they definitely don't have the skills and the experience that would make my life a lot easier. Like I was telling I was saying that story with Brock. I mean, I've had a situation before where a brand new wedding coordinator um, was having them cut the cake, or no, I think it was maybe it was the garter bouquet toss, and I was literally on the other side of the room sprinting over there, and I was like, stop, stop, trying to get them to wait for me to get there, and she like didn't give me any kind of heads up, nothing. And it's, again, I'm not blaming her, but it goes with, if you don't have enough experience and you don't know, something could possibly go wrong.
Absolutely. I think that it is a coordinator's job to make sure that the photographers are available for those big, you know, traditional moments that you want to get captured on film for sure. And yeah, I've also seen that same thing. It's funny that, you know, that we're talking about this because I was talking about one of my favorite brides, Morgan, and she texted me probably like 2 weeks after she got married, and she said, "Oh my gosh, Angela, I just went to this wedding, and you know, as soon as I walked in, I could just feel that you weren't there. There was no coordinator there, and everybody was freaking out the whole wedding. And it just made me feel so good. You know, it's like, okay, so there is a difference, you know, and that was back when I just first started out. So it really meant a lot. But now, I mean, I see it for myself because I have to attend and participate in a lot of weddings on my own, being from here and growing up here. So, but yeah, a wedding coordinator really can make a difference. But so can a really good photographer. But when they work together, it's like music, you know, it's a lot better than when you don't have anybody to help and make sure that the photographer can be at all the places at the right times. Because, you know, there's so many times at a wedding when, and I've seen this happen a million times, but the mother of the bride or the mother of the groom will kind of get involved, and they'll be like, grab Brian and say, come out here and take a picture of me and my dog and my Aunt Sally and this person. We want to stand by this. And then the photographer all of a sudden disappears because he's trying to, you know, accommodate. And then the next thing on the schedule is cake cutting, or it's, you know, whatever it is. And so we have to balance that. We got to go. Everybody, just keep playing music, Brock. You know, keep playing music, and we'll go find the photographer and work it out. But that's what we're there for. Exactly those kind of conflicts. So it's good.
Yeah. So sometimes they're there for crowd controls. Angela does not mind being the bad guy if she has to tell people what's up and get them to,
in a really nice, tactful way.
Well, yes, of course, but she will definitely. I think it's the teacher in her that she will put down the law when she has to. One other quick thing I will say. I mean, Angela did mention that she has not done a ton of these, but I think the good thing about the fact that she's not doing 100 weddings a year is she makes it a very personalized approach to the brides that she does work with. When you have a ton of weddings, it's harder to give all of them that much that time and personal care. But Angela does a great job, and you can tell that she has passion for her brides and couples. So when she does it, she puts a lot of effort into it, and she makes it a very personal thing.
That's what we want. We want it to be just that special for that person, for sure.
Yeah. I agree. One thing that you did point out, and I'll just say this, and I think it'll probably be the last thing I remember. One of your big points was relax and have fun, or something similar to that.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you're in it, while you're in the moment.
Yeah. So and again, if you don't have a coordinator, you're gonna probably be the one stressing about everything, and you're gonna be thinking about all that stuff. But if you have the coordinator, then you don't have to worry about it, and things are gonna go wrong. But in the end, you're gonna be married, and that's really what matters. So don't stress about things. Let the coordinator take care of all of it. Let the coordinator be the one that's having to figure stuff out, and you just have fun, enjoy the night, be around the people, be in the moment, experience it, live it, have a good time.
Absolutely. Party on.
Yeah, party on, guard.
And get married, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Okay. All right, Angel, you have any other words of wisdom you want to throw at them?
Oh, just if you want to talk to me and you do want to have a phone consultation, I'd love to talk. And so if you want to just talk to me directly, you can email me. I'm really good about checking my email. So AngelaClarkEvents@gmail.com is one way you can email me. You can also go to my website, which is super easy, www.angelaclarkevents.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Angela Clark Events. So those are my three main things. I also, you know, you can follow me on Instagram, but that's more of a personal thing where I just post lots of kids, lots of pictures of my cute kid. But I am there too, so you can message me there too.
All right, and we.
Thanks, Brian. It was so fun.
Thank you so much, Angela, and everyone have a great night.